Hello. Hey, what's up, you guys? It is I, V&A Moreno, and across from me, in front of me...
You're going to work on your catchphrases.
What do you mean?
You're known for, hey, what's up, you guys?
I don't know. Am I stuck with that?
You can reinvent yourself, but I feel like you need to put out a press release whenever you do. You know what I mean? Like, I've been saying yes, yes, y'all for 10 years. Yeah. You can't just like willy-nilly go back and forth. Thank you. Thank you. That's the V&A Moreno.
I remember I think the very first time I ever came on Texas Well Today, I said, hey, what's up, you guys?
I'm pretty sure you did too. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the pre-show before the free show. I am Greg. That is V&A. That is Sam off camera making the program monitor work. So let's...
Shout out Sam.
We didn't get to have a pre-show on Monday, which really robbed me of my pre-show topic, so I'm going to port it over to Thursday. So this past Saturday,
okay.
Let me back up.
My goodness.
This last Wednesday was Hank Tepper's birthday, right?
Happy birthday.
Turned 7. So Saturday, we had a birthday party.
Okay.
Because what kind of psychopath has a Wednesday birthday party? So on Saturday, we had a birthday party, and that is when we trekked to, for the first time, certainly in my adult life, and probably for the first time in at minimum 30 years, I went to Chuck E. Cheese. That's right.
Wait, the first time in how long?
At least 30 years.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I'm old. I don't know if that's breaking news.
The last time I was there was for Luca's 3rd birthday.
I have not. Hank has been to a couple of birthday parties there, but my wife has always been the one to take him. So we went to Charles Entertainment Cheese.
Okay.
Of course. Had a birthday party.
Charles Entertainment.
Folks, I'm not sure the last time you've been to a Chuck E. Cheese. Okay. And by the way, they're not a sponsor of this program, but they can be. Give me a call. At Chuck E. Cheese, they have figured it out, okay? That is a casino if it were run by my son. It's a casino. And I also am blown away by the changes that they have made there. So you are much younger than I am. However, you probably went to Chuck E. Cheese and you remember getting like the tokens to put in the games or like even just quarters, right?
Yes.
And then you would get tickets, like paper tickets. No. All on a card.
Yes.
It's all on a card. Yes. It's all tap to pay, right? Oh, no. The tickets are tracked there. Here's the other thing, and this is great from my perspective. You do not put currency on the card. You put time on the card. It's all time-based.
Oh.
And so you go there and like you've got your card and you tap it. It doesn't tell you you've got 200 credits left. It tells you you've got 1 hour and 48 minutes left.
Unlimited of whatever.
You can go nuts.
What?
You can play as many games as you want. As many games as you can in that span. Right? It is also, so there's also people who remember Charles to his friends, Charlie. They remember him as a really creepy mouse, right? The animatronic mouse.
Yes.
Creepy mouse.
Yes.
They've literally made like horror video games about this genre.
Was it about him?
This suite of characters. They at least inspired it. They have Pixar-ized this mouse. It is now, he would fit in on Paw Patrol. He could show up on Paw Patrol tomorrow, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, that feels like in-universe.
Oh, my goodness.
That feels in-universe. They have also, here's the other thing, and again, feels like this is just a free advertisement for Chuck E. Cheese. Very clean.
Really?
Spotless.
Is it no smelly feet in there?
No, it doesn't smell.
Wow.
Now, part of that is the casino thing, where I'm sure they've got air going through there. You got kids vaping at the slot machine.
Tapping.
Blowing fat clouds.
It's kind of the same at Dave and Buster's. My nephew upgraded from Charles Entertainment to Dave and Buster's and
to the D&B.
Yes, and it's the same thing. Like you have a card, but this you do put money in it, and it's like because the games are like nicer, I guess, or more whatever.
Yeah, they're more adult. Like
Yes.
I mean, these are children's games to be clear. But they had a great time. Hank had an awesome time.
That's awesome.
It's also again, I feel like I'm just giving a free advertisement to Chuck E. Cheese, but it was that good. It was also. I remember my parents complaining about how expensive it was. Pretty affordable.
It was luxury.
Pretty
Wow.
affordable. I'll tell you off the air how much it costs, but like not bad.
You guys have some pizza?
Had some pizza.
Nice.
Pizza is still fine. Still fine.
Wait, fun or fine?
Fine.
Fine. Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's
Yeah. So if you haven't been to the Chuck, that's what we're calling it around here, the Chuck or the Charles. If you're not doing the Charles lately, go check out what Chuck E. Cheese has got cooking. I don't know. I came away really impressed. It was also, it's very clear to me, we'll get to the show in a moment. It was very clear to me they have had a bunch of focus groups and a bunch of consultants come in and like narrow this thing down and figure out why isn't this working. And like they figured it out. So shout out to you, Chuck E. Cheese. Things are popping off.
That's amazing.
Anyway, that was my weekend. What?
Nothing. Sam was in the back.
Oh, I can't see because I don't have program.
I know he's working on it right now. It's okay though.
All right, hit the theme expo. Yes, y'all. From the new Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show with things to do. My name's Greg Tupper. I'm the editor-in-chief of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. If you're watching us on Quibi. If you're watching us on Vine.
Vine?
Yeah.
Yeah, Vine.
Can you take me out of my ears?
Oh, sorry.
I'm getting an echo. Or you listen to us on the podcast, which
There
you can
we
subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting here. Those giggles that you hear belong to our producer for the day, our friend Vianney Moreno. Hello, Vianney Moreno.
I already showed myself earlier.
Hi, Vianney.
Hello.
Hi, Vianney.
I was wondering why you were speaking so slowly.
I know, my bad. Yeah, I kind of get the echo thing.
It's semifinals week.
I know. Pickle's out today. More on that in a little bit. Today is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. The good news is it's a mere 350 days till Thanksgiving, y'all. 350 days.
Wow.
We can make it.
Amazing.
Happy birthday. Who was born on December 11th? Do you know? Happy birthday to... Goodness gracious. Nobody I know.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's all these TikTok stars. Who are these people? Happy birthday to Mos Def. Mos Def, who was once in Black Star with Talib Kweli. Happy birthday to Mos Def, who turns 52 today. It is an episode 1906. On today's show, folks, I mean, you probably know, but it's state semifinal week. That's right. The state semifinals are here. We are going to be getting you ready for these state semifinals. And instead of, we'll talk about this in a moment, but we're not going to do top 10 games. Instead, one question for all 20 Texas high school football state semifinal games this weekend. We've got that. Then we are going to be joined by the head coach of one of those state semifinalists. the Bernie Greyhounds back into a state semifinal. We're going to be joined by Coach Brett Sawyer. He's going to join us live. Then, last night, we had a great opportunity to talk with another state semifinalist, Coach Jason Todd of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears. We're going to play that interview for you live from, last night live from Dick's Sporting Goods. We will hear from Coach Jason Todd. Then, Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, will join us as he does every Thursday for our weekly conversation. We'll talk a little bit about what he's got cooking this week, as well as what he's looking forward to about next week, because this will be the final Thursdays of the season. This is it. After this, his contract expires.
Wow.
Then we'll have Mailbag. We're answering your questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel. I don't know. Pick a state at random. Minnesota. If you have questions about Minnesota, let us know in the comments. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We will get to a few of those at the back half of the show. That sound good to you, Vina?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Do we first work through the door?
We do.
She leans away from the mic. We do.
Well, I had to get my computer. This show is already off the rails. Let's see. We have Mr. Joey Hill, Tony Blaylock, Alex Padilla, and Carter N730. Hey, guys.
Welcome in, friends. We do appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. All right, VNA Moreno.
Alrighty then.
The state semifinals start tonight. So much so that you and I have a state semifinal to get to after this. You and I getting in a car and driving out to Iowa Park, picking up Matt Stepp along the way. Driving out to Iowa Park for Hamilton and West Texas. We'll be in Iowa Park. Make sure you come say hi if you're out there for the big game tonight. But there are 20 state semifinals across the state of Texas. My predictions are up on TexasFootball.com and on our YouTube page. A very brief video showcasing my 20 predictions for the 20 state semifinals. And normally in this segment, we go through and I rank the top 10 Texas high school football games of the week. Mm-hmm. That feels out of place because all 20 games are good. Of the 20 state semifinals, and I made predictions for all of them, you can find them on our YouTube page. Of the 20 state semifinals, I would say I feel pretty confident in about 3 picks.
Wow.
3 picks. So, like, if you were to come to me and you were to say, hey, Tepper, I'm from the future. Mm-hmm. You went 3-17 in your state semifinal picks. I'd believe it. I'd be like, well, I just got those wrong. As a result, all these games are good. And so instead of ranking the top 10 Texas high school games of the week, I have one question, one animating question for all 20 games. One for each. Okay? You ready to roll through these?
Let's do it.
We're going to go 6A down to 2A. Start.
Perfect.
6A Division 1, North Shore versus Lake Travis. Can North Shore's front hold up? In this game, I think that North Shore has a number of advantages over Lake Travis. But also, the single individual best unit in this game is going to be the Lake Travis defensive front, specifically Carter Buck and Ben Duncombe, who are, Matt Stepp called them cyborgs on our podcast. They are monsters off the edge. Mm. It will be up to the North Shore offensive line to find a way to hold up and keep Caleb Maryland clean. That's the biggest thing here. Keep Caleb Maryland clean. If North Shore's front holds up and they mitigate or at least slow down the Lake Travis front, feels like North Shore's going to win. But if Lake Travis's front goes nuts, watch out for those Cavs. Allen versus Duncanville. Can Allen block Duncanville's front? A similar question here. That's the money matchup here. The Allen offensive line, I think, is coming off of its best game of the year last week against North Crowley. They really dominated North Crowley up front defensively. The offensive line for Allen was excellent last week. They will need to be excellent again against this outstanding defensive front for Duncanville, led by KJ Ford. If Allen's offensive line has another great game, they're going to state. But if the Duncanville front wreaks havoc, then that defense is going to start flying around and things are going to work really well. 6A Division 2, CE King versus Vandegrift. Can Vandy survive the early surge? We talked last week to Corey Laxon, head coach of CE King. And one of the things we asked him about was, hey, you guys get off to these hot starts. You guys get flat. And he's like, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to overwhelm teams. What the first game they played against Summer Creek. The question now is, can Vandegrift play the first quarter to a draw? If this is a 4-quarter game, let me put it to you this way. If this is a 1-quarter game and the game is over by the end of the first quarter, I know who won the game. CE King won the game. If this is a 4-quarter game, I think Vandegrift can win it. Not just can, maybe should, maybe will. That, to me, is the animating principle here. That first quarter is going to be critical for both teams. For CE King, they want to run away and hide. They want to set the tone, be like, we are way too fast for you. And for Vandegrift, we want to say, you're going to have to fight for 48 stinking minutes, and then, by the way, we're really good at winning on the margins. South Lake Carroll versus DeSoto. Which defense shows up? Both these offenses are hitting on all cylinders right now. Both these offenses have been exceptional all year long. Or rather, really all year long, but especially of late. South Lake Carroll, Angelo Renda, Brock Boyd, they've really unleashed their running game with Davis Penn. For DeSoto, of course, they have the remarkable Boobie Feaster on the outside, a 5-star receiver, but it's been the Sherrod Baker show. Sherrod Baker went nuclear last week against Willis. So it falls on the defenses. Which of these defenses can slow down the opposing offenses? That is a game that feels like both offenses are going to get theirs. Which defenses can come up, step up, and make those big plays? That's the big question in Carroll DeSoto. Smithson Valley versus Port Arthur Memorial. Whose pace wins out? I love this game because from a stylistic perspective, it's really different. Port Arthur Memorial wants to let it rip. Let Monty Martin, their quarterback, cook. Get things going. For Smithson Valley, we know what they're about. They are methodical. They are intentional. They go at a slow pace. They win with their defense with Hudson Woods. They run the ball well. They do play action with Ty Knutson. They are methodical. They take you through the paces. If this game gets up and down, they're the faster team, and they're going to win this game. But if this game is played at a slower pace, if this game's in the 20s, that's Smithson Valley's game. Fascinating ball game there. 5A Division 1, Aledo versus Frisco Lone Star. Who takes care of the ball? It's easy to say, like, this game's going to come down to turnovers. And it's true. This game is going to come down to turnovers. Every football game comes down to turnovers, but it feels especially prescient here. Because the Lone Star offense, coming off of their best performance, maybe in program history, when they were running up 750 some odd yards on Highland Park, that offense is rolling. You cannot give Lone Star extra possessions if you're Aledo. And on the other side, that Aledo defense has been exceptional all year long. Absolutely smothering, especially in that front seven. If they take the ball away a couple of times and make a couple of those stops, put Lone Star in a place where they're chasing, Aledo would be in a really good spot. I think this game comes down to South Oak Cliff versus Melissa. Can Melissa move the ball? South Oak Cliff, the death row defense, is coming off of a remarkable performance over Port Neches Groves, smothering them, holding them under 200 total yards, shutting them out for the first time since 2008. Jamarian Phillips, Marcel Gibson, loaded. Melissa is very reliant on their quarterback, Brett Holloway, and especially Brett Holloway running the ball. Can Melissa find a way through that South Oak Cliff defense? Can they do really what Port Neches Groves couldn't do last week, which is move the ball consistently? That's the biggest question for me in South Oak Cliff versus Melissa. Kilgore versus Lavernia. Can Lavernia run on Kilgore? I love this Lavernia offense. I think they're a ton of fun. Ty Carter, Cooper Null, that kind of just power zone read. That, to me, is really fun to watch. Their offensive line's been fantastic. Last year when they played Kilgore in the semifinal, they couldn't run the ball. They ran for like 3.5 yards a carry. That can't work. The Kilgore front is menacing. They are mean. And also, I don't think Lavernia is good enough throwing the ball broadly in the passing game because they don't do it much. That if plan A fails, plan B is workable. I think Lavernia has to run the ball. Can Lavernia run the ball? Can Kilgore snuff out that run game? That's the biggest question in Lavernia and Kilgore. Stephenville versus Salina. Is Salina healthy enough? I mean, all eyes are on Bo Bentley, right? Star quarterback for Salina. He has not finished the last 2 games. He's been knocked out of the last 2 games. How healthy is he? They're all already without their starting running back, Logan Gutierrez. They are banged up right now. Now, they found a way. Last week, they took Luke Biagini and put him at quarterback. He essentially ran like the single wing, and it worked. How healthy is Salina? Because here's the thing. I think Stephenville's good enough to beat them at full strength. They will need to be pretty healthy, in my opinion, to beat Stephenville. This is a Stephenville team that is rolling right now. And a rare team in 4A Division I that I think matches up with Salina up front on both sides of the ball. So how healthy is Salina? West Orange Stark versus Sinton. Does Sinton's uneven defense match up well? Here's what I mean by that. If you look at the numbers, the Sinton defense has had some troubles. Specifically, look at the 2 Cuero games, right? Cuero went for like 500 yards on Sinton last week. But here's the thing. When Sinton has been beaten, it is because they've been thrown on. They actually stopped the run pretty well. Well, guess what West Orange Shark does with Kelvin Jefferson? They're going to run the stinking ball. They do not throw much. So does the matchup, while the numbers may say one thing, if you dig a little deeper, is Sinton actually matched up relatively well defensively against this West Orange Shark attack? Now, you still got to tackle Kelvin Jefferson, and that is a pain. But can the Sinton defense match up well? Carthage and Brock. Can Brock finally crack Carthage? I think this is the main event. I think this is the best game of the weekend. If I were doing a top 10 games of the week, this would be my number 1. And for Brock, they look like the kind of team that can beat Carthage. That's a short list. That's a class that doesn't take long to call roll. But this team is rolling right now, and especially the Brock defense, I think, has stepped up in a big way. However, the biggest question is it's one thing to say you're going to do it and to say you can do it, and it's another thing to do it, especially against Carthage in December. That, to me, is the question. Can they come out and land a first punch? Can they come out and slow down the running game for Carthage with KJ Edwards and Benny Smith? Can they come out and mitigate some of the advantages that Carthage has from the jump? I think they can. I think they can do it. But being able to do it and doing it are 2 different things. Yoakum and Llano. Can Llano steal enough possessions? Yoakum's got the dudes in this game. Jermarcus Robinson, Jermon Robinson, Xavier Barnett. But Llano has got the defense, specifically the defense that makes plays. They have 45 takeaways this year. They average more than 3 takeaways a game. All right? JD Friday and company lead the way. They steal possessions. They will need to do that against Yoakum. They will need to do that against Yoakum and steal a couple of possessions. I think that's the big key here. Do we think we're going to get this monitor to work? No? Okay. Peaster and Grandview, elite defense or peaking offense. I think this is one of the best strength-on-strength matchups in the state. I think this is one of the best strength-on-strength matchups in the state. The Peaster defense has been spectacular all year long, giving up, I think it's like under 8 points a game. Their defense has been unbelievable. Go ask Paradise last week. Smothered them. They are now taking on a Grandview offense that not only has been very good all year long, but also they are playing their best football right now. I think quarterback Mason Landers is in his bag right now. Averaging 42 points per game. Their offense is great. So what happens when you got a peaking offense, an offense playing at peak efficiency right now against a defense that has been excellent all year long? That's the money matchup here, and that's the question I've got for Peaster and Grandview. Newton and East Bernard. One more miracle for East Bernard. It has been a remarkable season for East Bernard. We got a great story up on TexasFootball.com right now about the Brahmas. They started 0-3, rattled off 6 straight, lost by 53 to Tidehaven, made it through the playoffs in a way that is with a crazy kickoff return for a touchdown to beat Poth late. Then take that 53-point loss to Tidehaven and turn it into a win in the regional final. That is a team brimming with confidence, and quarterback Dan Bartlett has been exceptional. Dan the man. For Newton has been steady as she goes. Newton is exactly where we thought they might be. That running game, that offense, they are rolling. I think East Bernard enters this game as an underdog. But they entered last week as an underdog. They were underdogs against Poth. They got a little magic in them. Can they find one more bit of magic to put them into a state championship game? Gunner versus Wall. Is it Wall's time? This is another of the main events, the game of the year in 3A Division 2. The 3-time defending champs in Gunner against Wall. Wall it was undefeated. Wall played them in the semifinals last year. And there's an argument to be made that Wall was the better team for about 40 minutes. And then Gunner found a way. Because that's what Gunner does. They find a way. I think this is a better Wall team. I mean that. Can they overcome the champion's advantage? Is it their time to be at the top of the 3A Division 2 mountaintop? That, to me, is the big question. It feels broad. I understand. But Gunner and Wall is a kind of, I don't want to say like a legacy game, but it's a game that we are going to find out a ton about what the shape of this division is going to look like moving forward. Of course, we've got realignment coming in February, but you know what I mean. Can Wall dethrone Gunner? Refugio and Joaquin. Can Refugio solve the slot T? Slot T's the devil. Joaquin's been running it better than almost anybody in the state right now. They've been awesome. I love all the different weapons they've got back there. They can get the ball. Cooper Bragg, Amarian Wilson, Jacob Gatlin. Their slot T is humming right now. Refugio's defense has been elite. It's the number 3 scoring defense in all of 2A Division 1. They are also pretty familiar with the slot T because in South Texas, you see the slot T fairly frequently. Can Refugio diagnose the slot T? That's the biggest question here. If they diagnose a slot T, Refugio is going to state. If Joaquin runs wild, Joaquin's going to state. Hamilton versus West Texas. Magic, run, or experience edge. Hamilton's been here. They were in the semifinal a year ago. You can make an argument Hamilton's the team to beat here, and they were supposed to be here. And they've looked great. 14-0. Or rather, 13-1, I think. 12-2. I don't have the record in front of me. But the defense has been relentless. 11 points a game. Halston Hale leading the way defensively. West Texas into a first state semifinal since 1995. They've got the guy in Cade Winters. And they've got the feeling of a team that's meant to be here. Team of destiny. What happens when that experience goes up against that that team that's been here, done that before? Fascinating ball game here. Shiner versus Mount Enterprise. Who the heck knows? This is my favorite game of the weekend because I have absolutely no idea what we're going to see. Remember, this is a Mount Enterprise team that we've never seen a team like this in a state semifinal. 14-0, 61 points per game, 35 points allowed per game. They are wild. They onside kick, they go for two. What happens when they run into a Shiner team that looks a lot more like the traditional classic state champion contender? That is just good at everything, strong defense, great offense. They're much more balanced, you would say. I had no idea. We've never seen this before. And I'm fascinated to see how it's going to turn out. Last one, Munster versus Groover. Did Groover close the gap? Let's remember that this is a rematch of a game from last year, a state semifinal. And that game was 49-26, but it was really 49-13 about halfway through the fourth quarter. A lot of the principal characters are back. Briggs Satterfield for Groover, Case and Carney for Munster. Let's take the final score. It's a 23-point game last year. How much has Groover closed the gap? That is the big question here. There it is. One question, one big question for each of the 20 Texas high school football state semifinals this weekend. Of course, you can go to texasfootball.com for all your playoff needs. We got updated brackets, pairings, etc. It all starts tonight. 4 games tonight. We're punching 4 tickets at AT&T Stadium. 4 more, I should say. Jayton's already going, Richland Springs already going, Gordon's already going, and Rankin's already going. Punching 4 more tickets at AT&T Stadium in Arlington tonight. It's going to be a fun weekend. We'll have you covered at texasfootball.com. We are Texas Football Today, here Mondays and Thursdays on texasfootball.com. Talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Of course, go to texasfootball.com/playoffs for everything you need for the 2025 Texas High School Football Playoffs. Good to go? VNA, let's go to the hotline, the Bology hotline. We are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the state semifinalist, Bernie Greyhounds. Please be joined by Coach Brett Sawyer. Coach, how are you?
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I know this is a busy time of year for you, but I imagine busy. Sometimes busy doesn't mean fun, but I would imagine this is a fun time of year for you as well.
Oh, it's always a fun time. Anytime it's football season, life makes sense.
Amen to that. I want to ask you about taking over this role. You've got moved into the head coaching role back in February to take over for a program that obviously, one of the things is some guys get jobs and it's a rebuild. Nothing rebuilding about this. This is a program that's been humming along, been doing fantastic. How have you gone through and balanced putting your own stamp on this program as a head coach while also looking around and being like, guys, nothing really needs to be fixed. Like, things are going great. How did you balance that type of impact?
Well, I mean, I think it's, I've been here since we started doing this thing. Coach Hendricks and I have been together for a long time. And most of what we built this thing on was, us working through this together as a coaching staff. And so you don't want to go and reinvent the wheel, but me and Coach Hendricks are different people. His personality is different than mine, and he has things set up to fit what he's comfortable with, and I've got to set it up to fit what I'm comfortable with. And luckily, there wasn't a whole lot of switching around, and don't break if it's not fit, or don't fix it if it's not broken, and move on.
Well, I do want to ask you, I want to do what what coaches love to do, which is talk about a game you lost. Let's go back to the season opener. You guys take on, a San Antonio Piper team, really good San Antonio Piper team. You guys come up short. Since then, you guys have been literally unbeatable, 13-0. What did you guys maybe see or learn from that week 1 game that has fueled you guys into what has been a tremendous run into the state semifinals?
Well, when you work all off season and you work on techniques and you do all that stuff and you preach about the little things, and then sometimes you need to get you need to get your butt whooped a little bit to bring those points home, and that's kind of what happened. And we were able to use that as fuel to make sure they are understanding what we're talking about, exactly what we need done, exactly what we mean, and exactly the kind of effort we need to get done. Well, you get punched in the face, you come up with a new plan, and that's kind of what we did.
And since then, I think it's remarkable, since then, you guys are 3-0 in one-score games. You beat Laredo United in a close one, and then you beat Alamo Heights, who's not going to be sending you any Christmas cards, by a combined 9 points in 2 meetings. What is it about this team that allows you guys to finish those games and come up with the big play at the key moment, like we saw with the finish of last week's Alamo Heights game?
Well, I'd love to sit here and tell you, like, all these coaches get on here and talk about culture and all this stuff, and that's a crazy word in my opinion. But bottom line is, these kids in this community, they expect to be successful in everything they do. That's what Bernie's built on, and so they're playing football. It's just like any other aspect of their life, whether it be grades or work or being a son or whatever. They're expected to be great at everything they do, and we just get to reap the benefits of what this community expects out of everybody.
Okay, that's Brett Sawyer, head coach of the Bernie Greyhounds, joining us here at Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. Okay, I want to go back to last week. Alamo Heights scores, kicks the extra point to take the lead with like a 150 left or so. Was it going through your head? They left us too much time. Were you? What was your feeling at that point, knowing that you were getting the ball back, but it was do or die time?
Well, we're confident in what we can do, and we got kids playing at a high level, and trust everybody going. And I knew if they gave us too much time, we were going to win it. I mean, it was there's a big part in that game where that first play we get sacked. And then the next play, we ran tempo, and Grant, our quarterback, throws a dart out there for a hitch about 10 yards. And I thought, man, we're going to win this. To have the poise to come back and throw a missile like that and catch it, and nobody missed a beat. It was really impressive.
You mentioned him. Well, let's talk about QB1, Grant Sweeney. I don't know what is in the water down there in Bernie, but this kid has been unbelievable. A 4,000, 1,000 guy at the QB1 spot. Anyone can turn on the tape and tell you this guy's really good. You can look at the stats and be like, this guy's really impressive. But you're the guy who knows him. You're the guy who sees him in the locker room every day in practice. What is it about your QB1, Grant Sweeney, that makes him special?
Well, obviously, it's all coaching. I mean, obviously, he was short, fat, and slow until we got him and molded him into what he is today. No, he is he is a talented guy, and he's got a great poise with him. He's really smart. And again, he is going to be successful, and he just gets to play football and be successful at that. If it was any other sport or any other aspect, he could work at Whataburger, and he'd be the most successful guy at Whataburger. That's just the way he's built, and those are the kind of people you want wearing your colors. And he's just a great kid.
I want to ask you about the defense. Specifically, I look up and down your 2 deep here on the defense, and not a ton of seniors, Coach. In fact, a ton of guys who are underclassmen, guys like Cash Gatlin, guys like Rory Hodgkin, guys like Cooper Thompson who are, underclassmen, they're juniors. What have you seen from your defense that has you feeling good? What about this defense, in your opinion, is working for you guys right now?
Well, it's like you said, we're young, and they just keep getting better and better. Because I mean, this is the smallest senior class we've had in a long, long time. We graduated 35 seniors and lost a quarterback in the offseason, and we replaced him with one of our smallest senior classes we've ever had. So those guys get the idea of what we're going for, and we build this thing for the seniors, and this is their year. And the juniors' job and the sophomores' job is to do everything they can to give the seniors the senior year that they want. Because next year, when they're seniors, they're going to expect out of the underclassmen that play also. And so they get it. And they play hard, and they play as a group, and they really enjoy being around each other, and it's fun to be around to see and to watch them perform for each other.
Brett Sawyer, head coach of the Bernie Greyhounds, joining us here at Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Coach, you're busy tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Friday night. They're in the Alamo Dome. You get a semifinal rematch against the Randall Lions, the defending state champs. You know, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Good thing is you got a date with the man tomorrow. And I know you guys have been in the lab trying to figure, trying to come up with your game plan. I'm not going to ask you to give away your trade secrets, but when you take a look at Randall and you take a look at what you're going to be up against tomorrow, what do you see?
Well, they're very talented and it's very successful. I mean, they've won 30 straight games. That's not an accident. And it's not like people don't know who they are. So it's not like nobody's gunning for them, so they get everybody's best shot and they keep coming out on top and in big ways. They're a lot faster than we are, a lot more athletic than we are, all that kind of stuff that everybody talks about. I'm sure you've talked about it, but we're worried about us and playing the best game we can possibly play. And we're going to do that. And we're going to give them all we got. And let's go see if we can shock the world.
And finally, Coach, you're 48 minutes away from Arlington. You're 48 minutes away from doing what every team, 1,250 UIL teams set out to do. Not even in August, back in January. From your perspective, in your first year, with what a year it's been in Bernie, with the turnover and you taking over the head coaching spot, what would it mean to you personally to be able to go and play in a state championship game?
Well, you get in this profession for a reason. This is it's not a hobby. I dedicated my life to youth sports, and there's a reason I did that. These guys that coached me saved my life when I was that age, and to get to play at a big stage like that and to go to the state championship, it means a lot personally, but really you want your players to have the best opportunities possible. And this sets them up on a path of life that's a lot of people want, and you don't get that opportunity very often, even to be in the Final Four like we're doing. The blessings you get to do this, on an everyday basis is unbelievable. And to win is the icing on the cake. To win enough to get to this point is icing. To get to coach these kids every day and teach them and learn from them and all that. That's the journey. That's why you dedicate your life to this. Nobody dedicates your life to this to go win a state championship. You dedicate it because it means that much to you, and you want to give back to those kids the way you got poured into. And then if you can win, man, what a blessing that is too. But
amen to that. He's Brett Sawyer. He's the head coach of the state semifinalists, Bernie Greyhounds. You can see them in action tomorrow night at the Alamo Dome when they take on the defending 5A Division II state champs, the Randall Lions. Coach, we so appreciate your time. Congratulations again on all your success, and why don't we just plan on seeing each other in Arlington next week?
Hey, let's do it. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. There he goes, Brett Sawyer, head coach, the Bernie Greyhounds, joined us here, Texas Football Today. They're not going to be scared. I'll say that much. They're going to go in there, and I think you can hear it that they know what they're up against. They're the champs for a reason. Won 30 in a row for a reason. But I think you can tell he's like, we know what we're up against, and we're not going to go in scared. And they got that dude at quarterback, man, Grant Sweeney. If you've never seen him, he is unbelievable. It's going to be a fun matchup tomorrow night at the Alamo Dome. Well, of course, complete coverage at TexasFootball.com. We are Texas Football Today, here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Coming up after the break, our conversation with South Oak Cliff head coach Jason Todd as they prepare for their state semifinal showdown with Melissa. But first, a word from these valued partners.
Hello, Candace.
Not you again.
Me again. Remember our last oil change? Your boyfriend said he knew a guy who knew a guy. None of those guys knew what they were doing, including you, Todd.
Silence your oil change anxiety at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where you can watch our experts change your oil right from your car.
Thanks for coming in.
And finish in about 15 minutes. Valvoline. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
Pour some sunshine with new First Light Community Coffee's first ever light roast. This blend has notes of honey and brown sugar that will brighten any part of your day. Try First Light now at communitycoffee.com.
Friday night football is here, and Hometown is trusted by thousands of schools across the nation to make game days effortless. Sell tickets online, easily scan them at the gate, track sales in real time, and keep your community connected with a free athletic website. Make every game a Hometown game. Visit hometown.com to learn more.
Every legend starts with a vision. For Dave Campbell, that vision was clear. Tell the story of Texas football like never before. In 1960, he built something no one had before, a magazine that became the Bible of Texas football. Coaches, players, and fans didn't just read it, they lived by it. His words shaped the game. His vision built a legacy. And his name? It will always be written in the story of Texas football. Dave Campbell's Texas Football, where legends begin.
We are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the 5A Division II state semifinalist South Oak Cliff Golden Bears, Coach Jason Todd, joining us. Coach, thanks. I know it's busy, so thanks for making some time, my man.
Hey, no problem. Anytime Matt calls, I answer.
Listen, that is true. Same thing with me.
Yeah, you too.
When he calls, I answer. All right, 5th straight state semifinal.
Yes.
5 straight state semifinals. You guys have obviously been wildly successful over the past half decade. For you, how much do you still appreciate the fact that you're able to do this? You know, the first one in 2021 was obviously special.
Yes.
Is it as special in 2025?
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
because it's showing the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people can do things one time, but it's hard to continue to do it over and over without becoming complacent and kind of stepping over some things that actually got you there the first time. So it's a tremendous job by the coaching staff, and it's kind of a culture thing right now for the kids, the coaches, and the community.
You mentioned culture, and that's a buzzword, that gets thrown out at coaching school, and I think for a lot of younger coaches, they made this like, if I got dudes, I'm going to go out and win football games. And I think culture comes out in tight games, in those playoff moments when it's cold outside and things are going against you. For you guys building that culture, was there ever I think I may know, but you tell me, was there a moment where you were like, we've got this thing? Was there a moment that hit? You've won so many football games, but is there one you can point to that says we've turned this thing?
I think it was probably 3 moments that I could really think of. In 2018, when we lost to Aledo 28-14, we realized, number one, we wasn't that far off compared to the other games we've seen them play against people. Nothing was that close, and we felt we kind of had some mistakes that gave them the game. The Duncanville game, that 21 season, we went down, but the kids showed some character and some fight, and we showed that we could be explosive on offense against a solid team like Duncanville, a great team like Duncanville. But it really didn't come into fruition until that fumble on that in that Aledo game in the third round, and that was the key point right there that just told us, hey, when we got over this hurdle, this is the biggest hurdle in our division, so we should be able to go on through the rest of the way.
That first Aledo game, correct me if I'm wrong, there was like a long rain delay too, right? Like you guys didn't start until late, right? It was a crazy weather night, right?
Yeah, it started in November and ended in December.
But you'll take it.
Yes.
All right. So I want to go back to the beginning of this year. You guys obviously, one of the things you can always count on is South Oak Cliff scheduling the most brutal non-district you can. If you could line up the Dallas Cowboys in non-district, you probably would.
Call Shoddy
Yes,
up and
we
get him on
would.
the
Call
schedule.
Shoddy, get Shoddy up on the phone. So a 10-point win over Galena Park North Shore, 6A Division I, still alive. I don't know
Yes,
if you
still
know that.
alive, yes.
A 7-point loss to Duncanville.
Still
team
playing.
still playing 6A Division I.
Mm-hmm.
And a 3-point win over Longview.
Yes.
What did you learn about your guys? 3 weeks in, what did you learn about your guys through those 3 games?
I kind of learned the culture because actually going into the first game, we actually were down 3 starters on defense. So it was a lot of head scratching going on, wondering if guys were going to actually be able to step up to the plate and playing some big time games so early. And once we saw those guys that had to step in roles, they was calm. We as coaches kind of calmed down and said, hey, the culture's here. We just need to play some football and let the chips fall where they may. And that's kind of what happened week after week. And we wish we would have started out a little better against Duncanville, but we allowed a good team to get up on us, and we wasn't able to close that gap. But it still showed us some lessons that propelled us through the year.
Coach, you are known. I know a lot of your coaches on staff, and you were never known as a big 7-on-7 guy. You didn't. Y'all played a little bit, but didn't take it too seriously.
Yes.
when you evaluated after when you do your postseason evaluation after last year's state championship game, you guys decided to put more of an emphasis on it, and then you guys went out and played 7-on-7 and were really good at it. Now that you've had a time to kind of, there's some distance between that time. How much do you feel like that benefited you guys, and in what ways?
Number one, I think we were having a quarterback competition at the time, so it was allowing those guys to continue to get reps and continue to go against other people, and kind of just let the battle play itself out was the biggest thing. But it also allowed some of the younger guys to grow up, get some experience going against some great teams at 7-on-7. And it kind of let us just keep working with the kids and build some continuity.
I want to ask you about last week, Port Neches Groves.
Yes.
You guys go down to Bryan and beat them 28-0. First time they've been shut out since 2008. And it's a remarkable performance, a remarkable win. I know that when these two teams get together, a lot of emotions.
Yes.
A lot of emotions. There's a lot of history between these two. What was your message to your guys heading into that game, knowing that emotion can be a great thing, but also it can cause you to get away from you? What was your message to your guys?
Probably the number one thing is that we can't ever win that state championship game that we lost a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That game's over and in the past. What it's about now is just instilling our dominance and showing that we actually gave one away to a very well-coached team.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I actually, do film evaluation, Coach Joseph and his defense is probably one of the best defenses that I'm talking about, just preparation, schematic-wise, that probably we face versus anybody in the state of Texas. So we have a lot of respect, number one, for those guys, and we respect those linemen down there because they're big, and those guys play nasty and play through the whistle. And, we complain about it while the game's going on, but when you come back and sit in that coach's office, you actually – be like, woo, yeah, I like those guys, and you pat them on the back for that.
When you look ahead to this Melissa game, and you guys have some history with Melissa, and you guys have played a couple of playoff games against them in the past. When you pull up Coach Nally's ball club on film, what are some things that stand out to you, and what kind of challenges do they present?
Going to be physical, number one. The 2 years that we did play them, it was a very physical game. Going to be a hard-nosed football game. It comes down to the teams going to make the least mistakes. And the teams that actually execute big plays when they have the opportunity. I know that we have to keep the quarterback under control because we can't allow him to run through people like I've been seeing on film for 300 yards and different things like this. And we got to make him be a true quarterback and take away, some of the big plays. We got to win on the line of scrimmage is probably the most important thing.
It's Jason Todd, head coach of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears, joins us here at Dick's House of Sport here off the Tollway, hard by the Galleria in Dallas. Come down and see us. We're here till about 7 o'clock. I want to talk a little bit about your defense. That's where you guys hang your hat. It's always going to start with the death row defense.
Yes.
You guys have been banged up at times during the season, and you're getting healthy at the right time. We've seen great South Oak Cliff defense. What about this South Oak Cliff defense? What is it about that defense that's maybe different?
Young guys had to play early, and we had to depend on some guys that we probably didn't expect to have to depend on early in the season. And those guys have gained experience. And then once we get the experienced guys back, now we have some depth, and now we can do some different rotational things like that. But the biggest thing is that it's just a culture at South Oak Cliff. Coach Ward, Coach Spencer, Coach CJ, Coach Traylor, Coach Carr coming over was a very big addition for us up front. Those guys have instilled what the attitude is to play defense at South Oak Cliff, and it's carrying on. And it doesn't matter what kid goes out there, it's the same expectation.
This game is being played. You're a Dallas guy.
Yes.
We're in Dallas right now. This game is being played at, and in my opinion, the most iconic Dallas football venue, the Cotton Bowl. The Cotton Bowl doesn't host a lot of high school football playoff games. Can you give us a little insight on how this game? Because I'm always fascinated by how playoff locations get set by coaches and some of the fun. And every coach has a great playoff negotiation story. How did this game come about getting scheduled at the Cotton Bowl?
Me and Coach were actually just kind of discussing different venues, and then I actually looked on Facebook, and somebody said, Sock need to play at the Cotton Bowl. And so from that standpoint, I made a phone call to some people, and next thing I know, the ball was rolling, and the Cotton Bowl, they came through, the city of Dallas came through, and I just want the kids to experience that. It's the same place where they see Texas OU play, Grambling, PV, things like that. It's iconic, as you said. And it's also in my neighborhood where I grew up, so I'm down I'm down for that bus ride going back to the South.
And I imagine it's going to be a large contingent of fans. That you're expecting a lot of black and gold to show up Friday night, right?
Yeah, I'm a lot of black and gold and just DISD faithfuls, that just support the district also and the city of Dallas. I will show those kids a good time and just kind of give them something to pair them to AT&T the following week.
You mentioned you're a Dallas guy, and
from your perspective, what does it mean for you that, we've talked at times about, your history with South Oak Cliff. What's it meant for you that Dallas ISD has embraced this team and the entirety of the city of Dallas has kind of rallied behind South Oak Cliff?
It means a lot to me personally, and a lot to the coaches also, because a lot of those guys are Dallas guys also. And it's kind of like just kind of breaking barriers down what a lot of people say it couldn't be achieved. Mm-hmm. We've been able to do it not just once, we've been able to do it multiple times. And what we're trying to do is kind of keep this thing going. And also, we don't expect it to stop with just half a decade. Mm-hmm. We want this thing to be a decade. We're looking at our pace considered to other dynasties' pace, mm-hmm. and we feel we're right on pace to be one of the best, as long as we keep doing what we're supposed to do.
You're a football junkie.
Yes.
I've called you. We'll just talk ball. We'll talk about different high schools and different games. You love football and college ball as well. I want to ask you about a couple of first off, I know you're a Texas Southern guy. You played at Texas Southern and Prairie View. No love lost between Texas Southern and Prairie View.
Yes.
How impressed have you been with Coach Tremaine Jackson and what he's done there at Prairie View?
He's backed his words up. How he came in talking. They're walking the walk too.
Yeah.
And he sung a song talking about getting to Atlanta, and looked like they boarding that bus and gonna be in Atlanta.
And then you got two Texas teams in the college football playoff. Obviously, beat Joey McGuire there at Cedar Hill. I know you've coached against him. Sock has played Cedar Hill.
That was actually my first game as a head coach was against Joey McGuire.
No
really?
Way.
Yeah, that was my first loss.
Well, what kind of job do you expect? How impressed have you been with Texas Tech and then Mike Elko at A&M? Watching ball and seeing what they've done.
I like both of those coaches. I'm talking about as a person. Coach McGuire, he's doing the same thing he did at Cedar Hill. He just took it up to a bigger level, but he's just showing it's not a lot of difference between high school and college at the end of the day. And Elko, I like him because he's just a down-to-earth guy. He didn't come in with a big security squad, and all that type of stuff. He came in there, talked some football, and, he seems real personable. And I just like it. He's not all caught up in all the glitz and glamour.
Those defensive guys they just want to coach ball, right?
Yeah, they just want to get on the board and have some talk some football and live life.
There you go.
Absolutely. He's Jason Todd. He's the head coach of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears. You can see them 7 o'clock at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas.
That's awesome. They're playing a game at the Cotton Bowl.
As God intended that we're playing football at the Cotton Bowl. Coach, we appreciate your time. We know you're busy. We thank you for making time for us. And best of luck on Friday night. Let's plan on seeing each other in Arlington.
Yes, sir.
Sound good? Appreciate you. Jason Todd, head coach of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears, join us here at Dick's House of Sport.
There he is, Jason Todd, head coach of the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears. Big game with Melissa tomorrow night in the Cotton Bowl. Made some time for us at Dick's Sporting Goods, Dick's House of Sport, off the Tollway, hard by the Galleria in Dallas. We had him. We had Frisco Lone Star head coach Jeff Rayburn. We had Allen head coach Lee Wigginton. We had the Allen mascot.
We did.
Tuffy showed up.
It was awesome.
It's a good time. We had a good time out there at
awesome.
Dick's House of Sport. Make sure you go check that out. They got a bunch of stuff cooking there for your holiday shopping. Make sure you go see them. Get the sports and sporting goods lover in your life stuff at Dick's Sporting Goods. We appreciate Coach Jason Todd hopping on us. We're Texas Football Today. We're here Mondays and Thursdays on TexasFootball.com. Talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. V&A, let's go to the hotline. And we are pleased to be joined by the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, the voice of the eponymous Craig Way Show on AM 1300 The Zone in Austin, and the voice of the Texas Longhorns is our friend Craig Way. Mr. Way, how does semifinal Thursday find you?
That part is great. My spirits are picked back up again, not only because it's the holiday season, but because it's semifinal Thursday. And the reason they needed to be picked up, Tep, is because I returned late last night from the Rio Grande Valley. I was doing women's basketball. Number 2 Texas women won last night over UT RGV. And all of that was fun, but I was a little dispirited because I didn't get a chance to make it back to our favorite place, Costa Mesa, and have the botanis platter. So I was a little bummed about not being able to do that, but another day, another time.
Now listen, the good news is that you will have ample opportunity. There will be other opportunities to make sure that you take advantage of that. All right, Craig. I want to ask you briefly about this is going to be our last conversation of the year, which is sad. The last Thursday of the year. But I want to ask you first and foremost about your straight gig doing the Texas Longhorns. They are heading to Orlando for the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl on New Year's Day, and somehow the Texas Longhorns are not the program in this game that everybody's talking about. I think this is like the first time I can remember in which like Texas is like the quiet participant in a bowl game. I am curious from your perspective. Obviously, gestures broadly at everything going on at the University of Michigan at the moment, but your initial reaction to your impending trip to Orlando and also the matchup of the Longhorns and the Wolverines.
Well, when it first became really apparent, and we talked about it last week, both on your show and on mine, there was just too far for the team to have to climb through the college football playoff rankings, let alone be involved in that imbroglio that involved Notre Dame and Miami and Alabama and all of that sort of stuff. That it had pretty much been accepted, I think, with it, that they were going to be in the Citrus Bowl, which is really if you go beyond the New Year's Day bowls, that's the one at the top of the list. It's the number one bowl for the SEC, and that bowl game and the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa and the Gator Bowl are the ones where they let the bowls have their choice of the SEC teams. The rest of them, the SEC makes all the bowl assignments for the, whatever, the Texas Bowl and the Music City Bowl and the Independence Bowl and all the others. And so obviously the Citrus Bowl had never had Texas before, so they wanted them, and they were excited to be able to land them. And like I said, I think Sark and the players have made peace with it. They want to end on a good note. They want to get the double-digit wins for the third straight year. So there are goals out there for them to play in. Now, I am in complete agreement with you. It's a little weird for Texas to kind of quietly being mentioned with regard to this matchup because of this just shocking and, as it continues to develop, just in some respects, horrifying news that we're getting from Ann Arbor on what's happened with Sharon Moore and with that program. So I think that stuff is probably going to continue to boil and bubble around a little bit. I've had people asking me, do you think Michigan will opt out? Will they not play the bowl game? Well, the university has not said that. They mentioned that Biff Poggi will be the coach for the bowl game, so they're planning on playing in the game. But you're right. I mean, it's strange and a really dark cloud surrounding things right now.
Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. All right, Craig, on to the high school ranks where there's 20 state semifinals this week. I want to flash back to last week where you were on the call of Alito's state regional final victory over Denton Ryan. And I made the point on my show on Monday that I thought that was their best performance of the season. I know you've seen Alito, bits and pieces here and there. I am curious if you came away as impressed with the Bearcats as I did based on what we saw on Thursday or last week.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's as good as I've seen them this year, and maybe as good as I've seen them in some recent years. Of course, they beat Smithson Valley a couple of years ago in the state final, 51-8, and they may wind up facing Valley again this year. But, they're, Lone Star may have something to say for it, and it is number one and number two in the state. But they're playing, Alito is, as well as just about anybody I've seen at the 5A level in either division. They've been very technically sound, and they had one early mistake and basically overcame that, and they just kind of grind you into the dirt, which is what they do with their running game and with their passing game. They've been that good, and they're healthy, which makes them all the more dangerous.
And then this week, do I have this correct? Are you on the call this Saturday?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I'm as we speak, I'm pulling up to the airport. I'm going to be flying up to Hartford to do basketball tomorrow night. Texas plays 5th-ranked UConn tomorrow night in Hartford. But I'll be back late tomorrow night. And, yes, I'll be on the call with Isaiah Stanback on South Lake Carolina DeSoto in that 6A Division II semifinal.
So I just want to make sure I understand this and make this clear for everybody. What Craig Way is talking about is flying from Austin to Connecticut and then Connecticut to Dallas to call Saturday's 6A Division II state semifinal between South Lake Carroll and DeSoto. I know you have been working on getting ready for this game for the call there on Victory. When you take a look at this matchup, it's always, I mentioned on my predictions video earlier this week that high school football nerds know how important it is and how meaningful it is when these two programs get together. South Lake Carroll and DeSoto, they have a history in the playoffs. Breaking down this game, when you've kind of dug in and gotten prepped for this game, I'm curious what you're going to be on the lookout for when the Dragons and the Eagles go at it one more time.
Well, we talk about matchups and things like that, and in the open, what we want to highlight. And I think the obvious ones, obviously, Sherrod Baker for DeSoto. Anytime you rush for over 400 yards in a state quarterfinal, you've done something, and he's having a tremendous season. And you look on the other side with Angelo Renda, and between Renda and Boyd, I think they're going to. I asked Riley Dodge this morning on a media Zoom. I asked him this morning. If that particular pass catching combo is it anything reminiscent of his playing days, what he had done, and but he says it's about as good as anything from that program. That tells you what, how good that combo is. The other thing I like about this test, both head coaches, in their own way, kind of are exuding confidence about where they are right now. Claude Mathis has never been at a lack of confidence, obviously, but he really loves how his team is playing in terms of playmaking. Now, he will tell you that they've got to do better in terms of staying away from penalties. They had 200 yards in penalties last week, and there was some ugly things that exchanged in the game. He said what we have to do is they stand on their motto of EOE, which is execution over emotion. And he said we got the two E's backward last week, and it was more emotion than execution. He said we got to get back on track with that, but his playmakers know that. And then, of course, on the other side with what Terrell has, and Riley is pretty confident about what they have. And you're right. There is this history. They met 2 years ago. But prior to that, they met 4 straight years from 16 through 19, including Riley's first 2 years as head coach at Carroll. So this is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this because I think this could be really entertaining.
Finally, Craig, it's the meanest thing we do to each other each week, and you did it to me on your show on Monday, and I'm happy to return the favor on this because this is the meanest thing we do to each other each year. It is the state semifinal edition of this. I'm going to give you 3 games, and ask you to that you can only go to one, and I'm going to keep this real simple. That I'm going to go. You're going to be calling one of the Saturday games. I'm going to give you the other 3 Saturday games. Are you going to head to McLean Stadium Saturday night to watch C.E. King and Vandegrift? Are you going to head to Mesquite Memorial Stadium on Saturday afternoon for Allen and Duncanville? Or are you heading to Thorne Stadium in Houston for North Shore and Lake Travis? Which of those 3 games are you heading to?
Well, they're all really good in their own way. Now, I will tell you this. Vandegrift has a healthy Miles Tedecki, and that helps an awful lot. They're running into quite the machine in King. How does King handle the moment of being in their first semifinal? That's one good thing to talk about that. Allen and Duncanville, 2 old war horses that know what this round is all about. But if you're asking me, I'm probably going to Thorne. I want to see how Lake Travis's defense handles that North Shore offense. And Lake Travis, by the way, Tep, is finally getting healthy. They got Van Hopping back on the field last week. They're finally getting their offense healthy, which they're going to need to do against that North Shore D. I think that's going to be maybe the best of the 3, and I would probably opt for that one.
He's Craig Way. He's a Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him call a college basketball game in Connecticut tomorrow, and then you can hear him call a high school football game in Texas on Saturday with our friends at Victory. And then we're going to get sick of each other at AT&T Stadium next week as part of the broadcast there on Victory Plus, buddy. So safe travels. Yeah. Safe travels. And, I'll just see you in Arlington next week.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be a hectic week because I've got the women's game Sunday, Texas and Baylor playing at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. on Sunday, a men's game at home on Tuesday, and I'll be up there for that 6-man game to kick it all off, that 6-man 1A Division I at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning, and can't wait to work with you on Thursday. We'll have a lot of fun. So, hey, it's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is the most wonderful time of the year. I'm tired just hearing your schedule. Safe travels, my friend.
All right, thanks. We'll see you, Tip.
There he goes, Craig Way, a cyborg. Joins us every Thursday. The final episode of Thursdays. Sorry, guys, because we're gonna have we have our show on Monday. That'll be our state championship kind of preview extravaganza. Then we will have an episode the Monday after state recapping, and then we're done for the year. So, yeah, there's that. Thanks to Craig Way hopping on with us, making some time for him. All right.
What a cool guy.
VNA Moreno. It's time for Mailbag. We're answering your questions about high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel, the Minnesota Hockey Tournament. Let us know in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We'll get to some of the questions right now. VNA, has anybody submitted any questions?
I have, yes, I have a couple. Tony Blakelock was asking, or he said, I'll be in New Caney tomorrow when Kagan Ash potentially breaks the career rushing record. What is the biggest Texas high school football moment that you have seen live, Mr. Greg Tepper?
Okay, that's obviously huge. And Kagan Ash, it would take, he's only like 90 yards away from the career rushing record. It would take probably the greatest defensive performance of all time to hold him under 90 yards, even by Shiner standards, who's excellent. And so he's probably going to get it. That's going to be a special moment, obviously. I mean, a lot of them are... You obviously think about like state championship moments, and I was there for the North Shore Duncanville Hail Mary. That is to me the signature moment in Texas high school football. I think that is up there. I think even watching Larry Hill win his first state championship last year at Smithson Valley, that I think is a really kind of big moment. Yeah, I think as far as moments are concerned, those would be the ones that spring to mind. But I would also say, like, watching Jordan Whittington go berserker for Cuero, watching Kyler Murray finish off a 42-0 career record at Allen, right, in the state championship stage. Those, to me, are the real big moments that I remember as far as... individual moments. There were obviously great games there too, but like I think that's the moments that I remember most. What's next, VNA?
Who did we say? Who's HPTS again? Do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Who's that again?
HPTS.
Okay. HPT. I thought they had a specific. Anyways, they were asking which bracket. They had a lot of questions actually. Which bracket do you think has the most equality between teams from the 4 regions? As in any of the 4 could win.
Okay. So I think the answer is probably... I think the answer might be... I'll give you 2. So I'm going to cheap out on this.
Okay.
I think it's either 3AD1, which has been the chaos bracket. That has been the chaos bracket because it's been... Now we've got... Peaster versus Grandview and Yoakum versus Llano, and I think all 4 of these all 4 of those teams are probably on a neutral site within about a touchdown of each other. So I think that's one. The other one, and I think this is low key. I think 5AD1. Okay, Aledo and Lone Star and Smithson Valley and Port Arthur Memorial. I think because there's a lot of disparate like playoff pedigree. I think because there's a lot of disparate styles. Right? That we don't necessarily think of them as equal, but like on a neutral site, I think all 4 of those teams are really tight. I think they're all really packed together. And I think if any one of those teams plays their best game twice in a row, they can win a state championship. I think 5AD1 might actually be a lot more closely packed than people might realize. So yeah, 5AD1 is probably the one that I would lean toward. You got 1 or 2 more?
We got a couple more. HPTS was also asking odds that DFW area teams win all 4 of the 6A and 5A title games.
Okay, title games. Let me look at this. So it would be South Lake Clifford Melissa, Aledo Frisco Lone Star, South Lake Carroll DeSoto, Allen Duncanville. So here's half the battle, okay? Half the battle is they're guaranteed to have DFW, however you want to define it, is guaranteed to have 4 state finalists, right? Because you've got DFW versus DFW because of Region 1 versus Region 2. As opposed to Houston has only got 3 teams, right? And they've all got to play out-of-state teams. So Houston could theoretically not have a 6A or 5A state finalist. Could happen. So they're already starting from ahead in that regard. I would put it at about 25%. 25% is probably the odds there. There are teams that I think are favorites, right? That I think would be the favorite to win the state championship. I think, for example, I've made no bones about it. I'm picking South Lake Carroll to beat DeSoto. I think South Lake Carroll will be favored over the winner of C.E. King versus Vandergrift. But then also, like 581's wild. If we get South Oak Cliff versus Richmond Randall Part 2, that would be wild. If we get Allen or Duncanville versus North Shore or Lake Travis. So yeah, I would say maybe 25%. It could happen for sure. But I think that there's a lot of variables there, and I think that not every one of those teams that I mentioned are going to be favored in those state championship games. I think right now the only DFW team that I would install as a favorite, assuming they get past this week, like definitely a favorite, would probably be South Lake Carroll, just because they've been wire-to-wire number 1 in 6A. Yeah, that sound good to you?
That sounds fantastic.
You and I have places to go. You and I are about to get in our little football mobile. Boom, 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 boom. We are going to drive northwest. We are heading to Iowa Park for Hamilton versus Stinnett, West Texas. Here's a fun thing for me too. And Tony asked earlier about big moments that I've seen.
Yes.
I love going to semifinals and seeing teams go to their first state championship game. And we will see that tonight. Because neither Hamilton nor West Texas have ever been to a title game. One of these programs is going to do something that's never happened in their town. That's pretty cool. That's Hamilton's awesome. Been playing football since the 1910s. And they are 48 minutes away from making their first state championship. Stinnett, West Texas is interesting because they're kind of a consolidation, if you didn't know. Stinnett, West Texas is kind of a consolidation of a bunch of schools. They're like Phillips and stuff like that in Stinnett High into one school. So they haven't been around as long, but that program's still been around for 30 some odd years, 40 some odd years, and they've never made state. So a community is going to have an awesome time in Iowa Park, and we get to be there. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that.
Excited.
Yeah. And you get to hang out with your
oh gosh,
with your friends.
Been around you two way too much.
That's absolutely true. That is going to do it for us. Thanks for spending part of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at TCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. A reminder, Monday, we are back for our state championship preview, and I would just keep an eye on texasfootball.com this weekend. Wink. Thanks again to Brett Sawyer, head coach of the Bernie Greyhounds, for being our guest, for Jason Todd for hopping on with us yesterday, as well as to Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, who joins us every Thursday. For V&A Moreno, I'm Greg Tepper. We will see you Monday on Texas Football Today.